Hello everyone, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, and welcome to the Northern California channel. So I couldn't do a video for about a month actually, and so I was out of station and I was traveling. Sorry I couldn't do it. So this is a beautiful magnolia tree, and what you're going to see today is how to apply compost and also fertilizer the right way for these trees. And that's what you're going to see in the video today. And so the compost and fertilizers, what I would recommend is you apply 3 times a year. One during spring actually, early spring, when the trees are starting to come back from the dormancy and starts growing. And the other one is probably here in Northern California, it's sometime in May. So basically before the summer start. And the third one is sometime in the midsummer, right? And those are the 3 times you would apply. And so you can apply more than that, 4 or 5 times, but 3 times is recommended. And so I wouldn't suggest applying for any fertilizers or compost during the fall time. And so now let's see how we're going to go apply the fertilizer for this plant. Okay, so it's a beautiful magnolia tree. It's been growing pretty well, and I'm going to show you how to apply the fertilizer. I'm going to show you, so this is the compost I'm going to apply. See here, so this is a organic compost, and so if you have a nearby like a big box store, you can buy the compost from there. So if you have any landscape and gardening nearby, so there also you can pick it up. So what I do is here near my place there is a landscape place where I go get some organic compost, and they kind of keep it in a heap, and I go and bag it myself, and it works out really cheap for me. And these are pretty good actually. These are organic compost, so nicely broken down as you see here. So this is what I'm going to apply. And so I have the worm castings, so these are the fertilizers, and this you can get it in a nearby store. And so these are worm castings. I really strongly suggest applying for the worm castings because the worm castings are organic ones, and it's a slow release fertilizer. It doesn't damage the plants, and this is highly recommended actually. So now let's go and see how we are going to go apply this fertilizer for our beautiful magnolia tree. So you see here I have got a garden raking tool. This tool, you need this tool, and you also need I got some compost. I got some compost in a bucket. And one more tip I would suggest is you always apply this during early morning time. It's always the best time, and you can nicely water it. And so I wouldn't suggest in the evening, but if you don't have time, you can do it in the evening also. So morning is always advisable, so that when the sun comes, it's ready to kind of absorb the nutrients and start growing, right? So it kind of helps the plants much better. So morning is always advisable. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So what I would do is right now, as you see here on the ground, I'm going to use this raking tool, and I'm going to clear it up a little bit and then apply it. I'm just going to do it right now, and then I'm going to show you. So what I would do is using the raking tool, I'm going to just rake it up a bit. Here is, I kind of clear it up. So the idea here is when I apply the compost around the tree, and so it directly goes into the roots, and roots are able to absorb it, right? So that's the idea. And I'm going to take some compost, and then I'm going to spray it. Here what I did was I applied the compost, and then I nicely mixed it up with the soil, so that when I water it, it nicely mixes with the soil, and then directly go to the roots. Okay, so now I applied the compost, and what I did was I used this scoop right here. I'm not sure how many ounces, I don't know how many ounces are these. I can put it in the link below actually in the section. And this one actually I use this to, I put about 5 or 6 scoops, five scoops for this, and that's good enough, plenty for this season. And so depending on the trees, right, you have to apply, you know, if the trees are big, then you might want to apply a little bit higher, more, and you know, so that should be good enough. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the fertilizer, and I'm going to use my hand, and almost you know, 2 handfuls I'm going to apply, right? I'm not going to apply more than that. In this measure I'm going to use probably about you know, one and a half. That's good enough for the fertilizers. I'm going to apply now. Applied the fertilizer now, and then raked it up with the soil, and that's pretty much it. Now what I'm going to do is, next step is you have to water it thoroughly, because the reason for watering it is the entire compost and the fertilizer has to go into the roots, and the roots should be able to absorb it. So the idea of watering it, you know, the water will percolate the compost and fertilizer to the roots and help the roots absorb it. Okay, so I'm going to water it now. So I thoroughly watered it, and probably I put about maybe slightly more than 2 gallons of water. It's probably good enough, and the water slowly percolates, and then it also takes the compost and fertilizer into it, and that should do for this season. And I do have some magnolia tree videos in the past, you know, so you can go and check it out if you're interested. And this magnolia plant, you know, I planted it about almost 2 years ago, and as you see here, it has grown about 8 feet, and you see those beautiful flowers right there, you know, beautiful flowers. So healthy tree. And I wouldn't suggest you, one more tip I wanted to share is I wouldn't suggest you to fertilize it more than you know, at least give once a month. Don't fertilize you know, earlier than 1 month. Actually give at least 1 month before fertilizing or putting the compost, you know, so because, you know, I don't want to put too much. And you have to make sure that, you know, you are leaving some space when you apply the compost. Don't want the compost to kind of go and burn the trunk here. And so apply it, just leave, you know, a couple of inches, and then so the idea is, you know, for the compost to go to the roots, and the roots has to absorb. Okay, so hopefully you learned something from this video. If you learned anything, please do click like and subscribe to my channel. And I will put lots of tips and tricks on growing a healthy plant, and subscribe to my channel. And thanks for watching. See you in another video. Bye.